Welcome, everyone, to a special Sunday episode of Modern Day Atheism. Remember that Modern Day Atheism, while it streams out live on YouTube, usually on Saturday, can also be found on iTunes, on Spotify, something called Stitcher that I trust really actually exists, and the Google Play Store. I still have not figured out what Stitcher actually is, but I've not gone much into it. Today we're going to be talking about a few things, but before we get started, let me introduce it's funny to call you like a co-host as though this is rare. Like we always do Sunday shows together, but you're not always on Modern Day Atheism. But Kyle Curtis from the Non Sequitur Show is here, and we are going to be, this is going to be a gay old time, and I mean that in the gayest of ways. How are you, Kyle?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Doing just great.
Yeah.
There's a bluish color to you right now. Your white balance is a little bit off right now. That's much better. Yeah. It was real blue. You look like in Willy Wonka when she eats the blueberry pie candy. Well, the whole meal and then it ends with blueberry pie.
You know, it's funny. I actually watched that for the first time in a long time a couple days ago.
I feel like that movie probably holds up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially compared to the Johnny Depp version, which was a nightmare.
There's this funny thing about me, which is that I am super duper easy to entertain when it comes to movies and everything else. Like I am not difficult to make enjoy. I loved Batman versus Superman, and everyone hates me for that. And I kind of liked the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka. I don't know. I liked that one.
Oh no! It was creepy.
Augustus Gloop. I love that.
Yeah. You can't beat. There are certain people that you like. I don't think that anyone should ever attempt to do like a Freddie Mercury or a Queen or Michael Jackson cover. I don't think you can hold a candle to those. And there are certain actors that you shouldn't follow. Gene Wilder being one of those. I don't think you should just leave that alone.
I don't know. I think everybody feels that way about certain things, and certain things they don't. And so it's hard to determine truly what objectively, because there's lots of things that nobody thinks are going to be good. Like, so let's say the Batman movies. Even most people who agree that the new Batman versus Superman and Justice League, that those were bad movies. And I liked Batman versus Superman a lot more than Justice League. Justice League did actually bore me a little bit. But most everybody who does that, believes that, still thinks that Ben Affleck was an amazing Batman. And I certainly do. I think he is like the perfect, he is so Bruce Wayne, it's kind of bananas. And so a lot of people, they're like, no, you can't that's why I'm totally down to let Robert Pattinson take that over. Because there's not been a bad Batman so far, in my opinion, as far as actors who played him.
I would agree with that. I was under for the longest time, and it may have been just rumors, but there was at a certain point there were speculation that Philip Seymour Hoffman would have you heard this? Would play the Penguin, and Johnny Depp for the Riddler, and I just thought that those two would be brilliant. Like I would be okay with that.
Yeah, no, I would definitely be interested to see that. What I'm interested to see about, we'll get to the actual topic of the show here in a moment, but what I'm interested to see about the Robert Pattinson thing is Robert going to play Bruce Wayne, or is he going to play, I can't remember the character's name, but he has more the body type of Batman Beyond's Batman, which basically you could keep Ben Affleck on as basically old man Bruce, who's getting too old for this shit. You could hold that on and then have him as the new young Batman with the higher tech and everything.
What do you think about the? Let me ask you. What do you think about the Joker movie that's coming out?
The Joaquin Phoenix one.
Yes.
It's still to come out? It hasn't already hit theaters.
I don't think it hasn't hit yet. I don't think.
There's been lots of different versions of his origin story. The one most that fans are attached to is called The Killing Joke, which is, or at least it contains within it, and it's extremely, extremely dark. I like it. I don't think they're going to connect it into, we're not going to actually get to see him against any Batman. It doesn't sound like. It sounds like they're just, it's kind of its own side project.
That was a brilliant pick, though, for somebody to play the Joker, though.
I think he looks amazing for the part, but yeah, I mean, that's another example, though, of people thinking something is precious and not wanting to give any chance for it. When they announced Heath Ledger would be the Joker, and then he was like one of the greatest Jokers of all time.
The greatest.
Probably the greatest. I mean, Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker is beats him out for me.
And I didn't think you could beat Jack Nicholson, honestly, because that was a brilliant. The only bad Joker that I've seen is Jared Leto's Joker was just horrendous. I hated everything about it.
I didn't hate it. I wanted to
just
see,
liked it because it was Jared Leto.
There's that, and he was mostly naked a bunch of times. But I didn't hate it. There were things about it that I was kind of like, and I don't know. They kind of, it was interesting, but so did Heath Ledger's did this too. They kind of took it too far into just totally chaotic evil, and I don't think there's a realistic level to. Like anybody, you at any moment could snap on any ally and just murder them or anything. And I mean, granted, we're talking about, is it realistic in the same world that has a magic man from another planet? But as far as like the things you're supposed to buy into, that's the kind of stuff that bugs me, where you're like, there's too much chaos. No one would ever ally with this person ever.
Sure.
With Heath Ledger's version, they kind of made it that he was always 10 steps ahead. So you allied with him to try and avoid being hit by the chaos yourself. With the Joker version, Jared Leto's, it was kind of just like, this guy is an absolute maniac who will snap and murder you at any moment, but you chose to team up with him. Like that's the thing that was weird for me.
I agree with that.
And Antithesis Studios points out something good. The Johnny Depp Willy Wonka was definitely closer to the original material. That book is dark, and that is true. That book was dark. That was definitely true.
Still, that role that Gene Wilder did when he first. I remember when I was a little kid watching that. I was just like thrown over the moon.
Yeah. Now. So something I want to talk about here is right before coming on for a good half hour leading up to coming on, I was watching Tommy McMurtry's stream, the Liberty Baptist Church stream, and he was talking about us, and he was talking about his enemies. He had a kind of mixed message on love your enemies, but then loving can be hating. But he actually mentioned, he's like, listen, and your enemies, like I've got enemies, and they do things like they come up with rumors about you, and they spread those rumors, and then they made a website spreading this rumor about me. And so, we now have confirmation that Tommy McMurtry has seen TommyMcMurtry.com, and I think that is absolutely fantastic.
Did you see any of the event from this weekend?
Yeah, I was at Pride, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, but from my hotel room, I definitely watched pieces. The interesting that happened was the people in my Discord were on it. They were like, and I think dozens of us got banned from the live chat. I literally came in and was like, hey, is Tommy McMurtry a pumpkin file? And I immediately got banned. But the moderator there literally was like, wait, Mr. Atheist is here with a couple of question marks. Like, I think he was a little starstruck, the moderator who banned me. It was pretty funny to me, but
good kill.
Yeah. But our Discord was on top of it, and we actually had to tell them to be less on top of it. I had to tell them on the episode I put out Saturday, you got to dial it back because we have plans for these people, and we were trying to make sure. Now it looks like we already have the sources of where it's being posted other places on the internet, and we've got plans for all of that too. But we had plans, and so we were recording all these streams, and the first day the people in my Discord got the stream taken down before we could record it all. So during the actual live as it was going. So I had to actually say hey, let the next one finish. Once we finish, light it up. It is against the terms of service. They said, how long did you have to watch before a terms of service violation happened, Kyle?
I actually didn't get to catch any of it because I've been with other things. But
Yeah.
what did they say? Did they say anything that was outlandish, crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it was always tickling the lines of talking about death and the capital punishment, that same sort of stuff. But I mean, the whole thing was it's a retrobate conference, and it was all the whole thing was terrible. We did have, or there were protesters there, joined by Holy Kool-Aid, but a guy I know now on Facebook, his name's Cameron, organized this whole protest. They got quite a number of people out there. They were outside. At one point, Pastor Anderson, the head of this cult, the NIFB, went out and actually talked to them for a minute. It looked like he was on his way out of town because he had his luggage thing on wheels and was just very hostile. And he literally ends his interaction with them by saying, "Get AIDS and die," and then walks off.
Great.
Yeah.
Actually, very mild for Steven Anderson. Very mild for Steven Anderson.
Yeah. He's. You're next, buddy. All right, that's all I have to say about Steven Anderson.
He's such a tool.
He's just a bad human being. And here's the thing: I think one day we're going to learn more. Because when it comes to as far as things that are happening in the background. Now, I don't favor the joke about every homophobe being a secret homosexual. I actually kind of have grown to really dislike that joke. Not even because I find it inherently offensive. It's just so old at this point. It's kind of like watching Bill Maher. At some point, he's going to make a joke about a woman with balls. I love Bill Maher's show, and I watch it a lot, and I usually like Bill Maher's humor, but every week he tells that joke, and I'm tired of it. And it's the same thing with all homophobes are secretly homosexual. We've been making that joke for years. And so the things I think we're actually going to learn about, though, is whenever you have cults like that, there's always abuse happening of some kind. It's always cult leaders can't help but fuck other people's wives, can't help but beat their wife. It is a thing that comes with being the head of a cult. Your brain morphs in this way, this very narcissistic, egocentric way, and there's just always abuse that follows. And so with Steven Anderson, I don't know what it is, but I don't. There's nothing about Steven Anderson that makes me think he'll be the exception to it.
One thing we know about him is that one thing he's probably guilty of is raping his wife because he advocates for that on a on a consistent basis. I mean, that's got to be going on because he openly calls for that. Something that's illegal in every in every state in this country. He's up at the pulpit advocating for. So that's at least something that's going on.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, he also advocates for beating Asperger's and ADD out of kids. So I assure you that he's beating those kids. I mean, that's just an obvious given. A little thing here real quick. The live chat is saying that I have the wrong store link. So I just put it in the live chat if you want to go see the pansexual pride merch and things that are in there. I just put it in the live chat. If one of the moderators want to copy it and maybe just periodically share that one out, that's the correct one. I think Lucy might have put the correct one down also. But anyway, there's a hoodie in there. I'm waiting for mine to get here. I'm so excited about it. I've told you about it already. It's the pansexual pride colors, kind of paints almost like splotch painted across, and it has the words, it's not about cookware in it. And I would have loved to wear that to Pride, but it didn't come here in time. So instead, Kyle, have you seen what I wore to Pride?
No, I haven't.
Go to my Instagram right now, or Twitter, actually. I think I posted it on Twitter. I'd go to Instagram. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick here. I want to make sure everybody sees it. Oh, I made a statement. Let me tell you what. I was at Denver Pride. I met tons of you. Seriously, I could not have anticipated that there would be that much overlap. And to anybody who was there, who we took a photo together, please tag me in it, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. This was my outfit. This is what I wore.
That's
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
epic.
yeah. That is
How many
that
looks did you
was-
get for that?
Oh, and for the people listening on the podcast, basically if you've ever seen David Pumpkin's suit, the Halloween guy, it's a short sleeve shirt with that same pumpkin design across it. How many looks I got for it? First of all, lots. Now, a lot of people realized it was me because I was wearing it. So I met dozens of fans this weekend just walking around at Pride. But then a couple of people actually said things like, hey, wrong season, but I love your shirt. And that was the funny one, was like people still noticed the shirt and don't realize there was something about it. And so there was a couple of people that exactly.
It's a pumpkin in June.
And it's bright orange. Like it's a catchy color. I told a lot of people, like, go look up Mr. Pumpkin on YouTube, and you'll find out. And I just kind of left it at that. But seriously, it was so flattering. In my personal life, I've been recognized a few places, like wherever I go, that my demographic is expected, and usually it's really, really uncomfortable for me. But this being an event about coming together and stuff, it was super, super, super flattering meeting all of you and seeing firsthand people are excited about the channel and what we do. Yeah, it blew my friggin' mind.
That's excellent. Well, great shirt. By the way, where did you get that shirt?
Amazon.
Yeah. Where you get everything like that?
I just typed pumpkin shirt. I actually have another one, and then now I've got these pumpkin brooches that I've been putting on my jackets and stuff. I should be wearing one now. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've gone full pumpkin. You've gone full pumpkin.
You never go full pumpkin.
Never go full pumpkin.
But yeah, it was good. Someone's saying in the live chat that they don't have a pumpkin emoji. Go to one of the other pumpkin emojis and scan it, like with your mouse or however you copy and paste on your phone. You should be able to paste it into the chat.
You don't have a pumpkin emoji. You gotta have a pumpkin emoji.
Yeah, it's under seasonal on a lot of people's stuff because.
Yeah, it's a season.
Halloween stuff. Do they have Pride in your city?
They do. It's next weekend.
Okay. So I went this weekend in Denver, and I have a few things that I think are funny, and I know I just know you well enough that you're going to disagree with me on something here, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, Pride, it's more of a festival here than it is there's not a parade that I know of. There actually might be, I have no idea. But Pride here is a festival that you go to. It's at Civic Center Park, and it's just basically they take like 4 nightclubs and make it and put it in this park. And it's just a giant. There's 4 different concerts going on at any given times, but there's enough space for them not to really interfere much with themselves. And it's just a really good, fun, wild time. I had gone. So a few things. If people are looking forward to footage, I once again decided not to, because the number of nipples this year actually outnumbered the nipples from last year. Also, somebody brought up something really smart. That adds a logistical challenge when I'm just a one-man show here, and that is that people may not be out, and so I would need to blur the faces, and that would be blurring hundreds of faces.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. People might not be out, but they're at Pride?
Right, but in other words, they might not be out to their families and stuff, and so people might worry about someone recognizing someone in the video and it making their way through. They might privately not be out, with their family. They might not be publicly out. I still brought my gear and stuff, and I took some pictures there and such. Mostly just whatever ended up on Instagram. Checking to make sure there wasn't a bunch of the Free the Nipple campaign's pretty popular here. And I'm a big supporter of it. I just don't need to have my channel. If I get a strike, I can't live stream, and I do that twice a week. So even if it was temporary, it would just be too much of a hindrance. But the main thing was people not being out. Let's see. We're just a second here. Okay. I was So the big plan, though, that I still decided I was going to do is I was going to go to outside the entrance gate, and I was going to basically. I was really looking forward to fighting with protesters, and they were there last year, and I was so excited. I was going to be there. I brought tons of gear to make sure I had backups. I was going to wear a GoPro and have a hand camera, have a tripod if I could set it up, if they basically agreed to where I didn't have to do it kind of like in your face Michael Moore style. I was so excited about that. The protesters didn't show up this year. There were
Weird.
I know.
Really?
Yeah, you can usually count on that.
What the hell's going on?
I don't like. We had a huge. In comparison, we had a much bigger protest down in Florida with the NIFB. And then, like, I saw nothing. I did see when I went down to 16th Street Mall, which is basically this street in downtown Denver, and it's a mall. I mean, it's just a long street of stores and stuff. It's like the central shopping in Denver where people go. I went down there, and there were some religious groups there, like singing songs and stuff, but nothing with like a God hates, and those sorts of signs. Nothing about repenting.
Wow.
If anything, all of the religious things I saw were very supportive. I got interviewed, like a questionnaire kind of interview by somebody in the festival who was just there on behalf of a church that sponsors Pride. Like, everything was supportive, which, don't get me wrong, that's progress. But I also had a show to do. So the fact is that I know those people still do exist.
Maybe the gay agenda is working then.
I guess. I mean, we know they exist, but I think they gave up on Denver. Denver's too independent. It's too liberal, too free-spirited. And don't get me wrong.
I know what it is. Well, here's what happened. Those people that usually do that, ever since pot was legal now, they've just been smoking up, being like, you know what? Maybe there's no reason to be an asshole.
Yeah. Maybe we should just fucking chill, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, or get some Doritos. This I'm telling you, this could change everything.
Here's the thing. I just traded these cupcakes from a gay guy bakery down the road. I think we're protesting the wrong thing. Don't get off until you cough.
Hashtag progress.
Plus, we just decriminalized mushrooms in Denver, so that's potentially part of it too. I don't know.
I didn't know that. Really?
Oh, yeah. So it's only decriminalized. It's not legalized. Sure. And obviously, it's only at the not even state level. It's at the city level. I think you'll see more
Denver
to follow. Oh, yeah. Because, well, the reason they did it is they want to be able to at least have us progressing toward better research, because they're finding that microdosing of mushrooms or the active chemicals in mushrooms, that is like a cure for a lot of people, for things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, and such. Basically, with one more stage of legality, I would actually probably try it for my own anxiety. But right now, it's only decriminalized, so it's not. It's not quite worth.
We'll be the last over here to get anything like weed will probably roll around to being legal in like 2030, at least.
Have they done anything toward weed there?
Nothing.
I mean, explain to anybody who's listening or watching for the first time where you are.
I'm in North Carolina, in the heart of the Bible Belt, and not even medically, like that's not even something that's being entertained here. I mean, you have people that are advocating for it, and,
right? Always.
Pushing to try to make that happen, but it's not being seriously entertained as any sort of actual thing that can happen anytime soon. So, which is usually the way that it happens. Usually here we're on the back end of the wave. Once progress happens in the country, it hits the South always last. And you would think that with all of the things that the South is notorious for, or the times where they've been on the wrong side of history,
right?
They would take the opportunity to come out and try to right those wrongs, but nope.
Yeah.
They're sticking to their guns, and
Like-
they're going to come out. It's just like with Alabama. I was talking to Casey about this 2 weeks ago. Alabama is synonymous with the civil rights, protests, Selma,
Yeah.
Birmingham, Mobile, everything that happened in those cities in Alabama. And in the opportunities where you have this abortion thing, and then they recently banned that Arthur cartoon that had two gay dads in it. They banned that cartoon from airing. You would think that they would take this opportunity or these opportunities to sort of show that they can be progressive or that they can not be on the wrong side of history, but they just, and on top of that, the guy that is accused of being a going after young girls, who Roy Moore, when he was he lost that election by this much, but he's thinking about running again. And this is something that's being entertained in Alabama. It's just like, Alabama, why Alabama?
It's so bananas that they would really consider him again. And you know what's even, you kind of mentioned it already, but what's even more bananas is that he barely lost. Like Roy Moore almost won despite being a predator.
Banned from a mall. Like, listen, if you are somebody that is running for a seat in government, right? And you are not allowed at a mall, that should be a instant disqualifier. That should be one of the questions when you go to fill out an application. I guess, what do you fill out an application to be a governor or senator? However that process works, that should be on the application. Have you ever been banned from a mall? You can't elect somebody to run the government that can't even go to a fucking mall. I mean, there's an issue there. There's a big issue there.
Malls are often the place you have little political events. What are you going to do?
Not with Roy Moore.
Where's he going to get his J.C. Penney ties? Like, where are those going to? I have lots of J.C. Penney's ties. I don't know why I thought that was that.
I don't even think that's a side issue too. Do people go to malls anymore?
What's a mall? No, I'm kidding. I think it depends. And actually, this brings me to something else I wanted to talk to you about. That's a little unrelated. It's definitely related to Pride, but more of what I was doing in the area. And here's going to be something that I'm going to have a hard time selling you on, maybe, unless you've already tried this. Because I was so annoyed by it when I first started. It wasn't until I did it myself that I was like, I was wrong. Have you seen these electric scooter programs in cities where, like, it's literally just it's like ride sharing, like Lyft or anything else? Okay.
I've done one.
Okay, so maybe you are okay with this. Here's what happened. I got into downtown Denver, and technically, the way it's being run here, you're more like a pedestrian than on a vehicle, because everyone's using them on sidewalks, and the police seem to be okay with that, even though we have bike paths and things like that. And so I was making a left turn, and with a pedestrian crossing, you anticipate pedestrians, and you only check your vision as far as a pedestrian could be entering. But basically, the scooter zooms in front of me because they can enter the crosswalk much faster. And so I stopped. It wasn't, I'm not saying I almost hit them. I'm just saying I had to hit my brakes, and that annoyed me. And my initial reaction, having in the past seen the South Park episode, was like, oh no, this has come to Denver. So douchey, so pretentious. I get to my hotel, I park and everything. And I go and I walk around for a few hours, and I keep seeing them everywhere. And I'm just like, everyone on these scooters looks ridiculous. Just scooting everywhere.
I thought the same thing.
I got about 5 blocks from my hotel. And what longtime fans of the show will know is that Jimmy frequently gets diarrhea. And I could feel that things were happening. And I wanted to get back to my hotel because I prefer that location than public restrooms, especially in the evening on 16th Street Mall. And there was a scooter. There was a scooter nearby. And I went over and I scanned the barcode and it quickly got everything going. And it was like less than a minute, honestly, to get moving, because it could just pay it with Apple Pay. And I scooted back to my hotel in far faster than I could have walking. I think they go up to 15 miles an hour. The first time I did it, I definitely didn't go that fast. And there's like a parking lot right there. So first I made sure I wasn't going to look ridiculous. I steered around the parking lot. It's the fucking future, y'all. Like it's no
great.
one's going to walk ever again.
I'm like you though. The first time I saw this taking place, I was like, oh, this is just awful. Like this is just so this is just such a hippie thing. It's such a like I don't understand it. I don't get it. And one day it was actually it was gonna rain, and I had on a shirt that was like it was white, and so if you ever wear like a white thin shirt, you never want to be out in the rain in that. Yeah. And so my car was in a parking garage, and one of the Lime scooters was there, and I downloaded the app and scanned the thing. It was very easy, and on the way, like on the first time I rode it, you're very self-conscious about the way that you look while you're riding it, I think, because like, okay, I don't want to seem like I'm, and you're trying to figure out like how to do it. But ever since then, when I'm downtown, I will take one of those, and it is it literally wherever you go, you just drop it when you're done with it. You just leave it on the side of the, you don't have to take it anywhere. Right. And it's great. You just, sort of speed past there. I love them. I didn't like them before. It's definitely one of those things you have to try it before you knock it. But it was amazing. I love it.
The Type A people in the chat are requesting that you fix your calendar because it is now the 16th.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, guys. Now, here's another funny story too. I have to keep up on that because I used to have a clock behind me that for like the first 2 months was working fine, and somewhere along the lines it stopped. It stopped. I guess the batteries ran out of it or whatever. But I got so many messages on that video from people going, "Your clock stopped working. Fix your clock. I can't stand to watch anymore until you fix your fucking clock." Yeah. Okay, Type A personalities.
It's fixed. It is fixed. So back to scooting, because I really want to advocate for this. We'll talk about some more pride stuff here in a moment, but scooting is the future. It is. They are not. I have no balance. I can't skateboard. I can bicycle, and even then, it's kind of like meh. I have no, and anyone can do this. I actually looked up the statistics on it. 20 out of 100,000 rides is how often there are accidents, like injuries. Only 20 out of 100,000. Like that is a minuscule number.
But those are bad accidents when they happen.
Probably. And it might not even be the scooter's fault. The people scooting, I mean. Right. And so for people who don't understand what we're talking about, I'm not talking about Vespas. I'm talking about a scooter that looks like the Razor scooters you might have had as a kid. You have handles, and you like pump with your leg to get started, but then these have an electric motor on them, and it accelerates it, and then you brake it has a brake on the handle and a brake behind you like the original scooters do. And they're so fun. But here's the thing. A lot of people found out when they met me at Pride this weekend, that I've mentioned this before, and no one ever believes me. I am very tall. I'm 6'2". And it was still every person. Oh my God, I didn't realize how tall you were. Person after person after person. Even some saying like, I knew you said it, but I hadn't registered it. So the first scooter I used, actually, the handles were kind of like, so you were talking about thinking how silly you looked. There was no bend in my arms. Like a lot of people at their height, they're holding it not with a ton of bend, but they're holding it like this. I'm holding it at the ends of my arms. Like, I know I looked ridiculous. And it was actually, I started with Razor's scooters that were out there, but then I found out Lyft had them out there, and you could just use the same Lyft app to do it. And those had higher handles, and so I didn't look quite as ridiculous. But
you need a cape with a pumpkin on it, so that when you ride this thing, you can just unleash your pumpkin cape. And
that would have been beautiful. Beautiful like pan flag, like a pan flag with a pumpkin on the middle would have been amazing. But yeah,
You're not the superhero the city needs. You're the one it deserves.
Well, yeah. I was hunched over a little bit, and again, they're at the end. Like, I can't tell you how very silly this must have looked.
It's a very self-conscious experience, but like but once you just you decide that, hey, you're moving down the street in a speed, a speed in a very good speed, and you're not having to walk, and you need a destination that you need to get to, and you want to get there quickly and easily. It's the simplest thing. The app thing and the way that it works with the scooter is just amazing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it's affordable. It's very affordable.
It's pretty dang fun. I was up way earlier than the city this morning, and so I went out and I just scooted for like an hour. Like, it is fun.
Now you're hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to get you need to get a paid sponsorship with one of these scooting companies. So you get your own personalized Mr. Atheist scooter.
All right. I don't want anyone to judge me and my impulsiveness, but
oh, you did?
It's coming Wednesday. I ordered an electric scooter that is coming Wednesday.
I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Knew it. You're so predictable.
Yep. It's I can be impulsive. I just had such a blast, and it's only like 15 cents a minute, but I still racked up. I probably did like $40 or $50 in these bills. So, bring in the super chats, please. Let's replenish my scoot funds.
People are gonna see Jimmy around downtown Denver, high on mushrooms, just scooting around the city aimlessly.
One day, yeah, definitely one day. Once my studio actually is probably only a 35-minute scoot from my 30 to 35 minute scoot from my let's see, 15 miles an hour. You know what? It wouldn't even be that bad. It would be probably about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah, but can you ride them on the road, like the roads? Is that? We
have bike paths, so I would just do them here. Denver's a huge bike city, so I would just take the bike path everywhere. Yeah. The bike. Please buy a cape when you scoot, y'all. I've got the address down below if you all want to send me capes to scoot with.
Do it, folks. You will not be disappointed with the optics of this.
It's when I lose a little weight, I'll make it a part of the video. I'll video me scooting with a cape around.
You need a spandex outfit and like a pumpkin just mask, like just to cut out of the pumpkin eyes right here.
Yeah.
And then the cape, and you'll be Denver's pansexual hero.
You know what, too? They're not as expensive as, I feel like I'm running an advertisement for them right now, which I'm definitely not. And I'm not, I won't endorse any specific company scooter, but they weren't as expensive as I thought they were going to be. I literally dipped into the fund that I have I'm looking to do an upgrade to 4K here in the coming months. And so I have a fund of all for saving up for all the stuff I need to make that happen. And I dipped into that. And yeah, they weren't as expensive as I thought they were. They're a few $100.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking because I had priced out electric assist bicycles in the past, and any of the good ones can be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So I was thinking it was going to be at least $1,500 to $1,000. But anyway, we should get back to.
You need to strap just last thing. You need to strap a GoPro on the front when you go riding, so you can be like one of those dash cam channels that show all of the shit that happens. It's amazing to me. Speaking of those channels, it's amazing to me how people catch some events that happen. Like there was one that I saw on a dash cam where a car careened off to avoid hitting another car, and there was a woman pushing a stroller, and missed the stroller by this much. And just the things that people can capture now because cameras are everywhere is amazing. So you have no idea what you'll catch on your scoot cam.
Yeah,
downtown.
You never know.
Downtown Denver.
You never know. I'm trying to figure out something here.
What was the thing that you were saying that we would disagree on about?
Oh, pride? No, it was the scooter thing that I thought. Imagine you hadn't had your scoot experience.
Yeah, I would fight you tooth and nail on that.
You would have. Yeah, this is one of those things. Like, I know you well enough to know that would have happened. As far as highlights of Pride, I don't know if it's still up because I don't know how long Instagram keeps it up, but there's a Q&A on Instagram that I did with Zelf on the Shelf. Zelf on the Shelf, they are ex-Mormons. That they have an ex-Mormon channel as well. I seriously super recommend. Obviously, subscribe to everywhere. Here, my lovely co-host channel, Non Sequitur Show, and Zelf on the Shelf. They have an amazing YouTube channel. I'm also working with them to get their sound and stuff. I think they're about to morph. Their channel's going to have a little bit of a. They already make great content because they're such great people, but the tech side of stuff is where my expertise lies, so I'm trying to help them kind of get the appearance and sound and everything a little bit better here going. And I think I'm putting them on my list of channels to watch out for in the future. I think it's going to take off. It's a duo. Their names are Tanner and Samantha. Tanner. Beautiful people. Oh my, yeah, both of them are seriously. I have a ginormous crush on both of them. Like, that's the honest and complete truth, is that I have such affection for them both. And they're both like, there's a lot of things that are similar about the two of them, and then there are things that are different. And I just love them. Zelf on the Shelf also, I don't, too much of my friends' annoyance at times, I don't consume much anti-religious or ex-Mormon or atheist content. Mostly because, in the same way, George Carlin wouldn't watch other comedians because he was afraid of accidentally stealing jokes. And I'm very paranoid of stealing other people's points and basically stating someone else's idea and not realizing that I need to cite that. I don't want to do that. I'm sure it already happens sometimes. And so that's something I'm already like heavily aware of. And so I don't consume a lot of other content. However, Zelf on the Shelf, I've probably seen 95% of their catalog. They had a website and a blog that kind of preceded their YouTube channel, that they're like, in Utah, they are as famous as I was at Denver Pride, even though they don't have as many YouTube subscribers, but their other outlets had hit a lot of people. I mean, they are just huge to a lot of the community, and they're just such good, lovely people. So Zelf on the Shelf, ZELPH, is a really great channel.
Where does that come from? Zelf.
So it's a Book of Mormon reference. So obviously Elf on the Shelf, you are already aware of what that is, right? There's this so it's not actually a Book of Mormon reference. I'm trying to pull up the actual thing because I don't want to fuck up this story here. It's a reference to the people in the Book of Mormon. I'll just read you the Wikipedia entry here, but basically it's Joseph Smith does a bunch of things along the way besides the Book of Mormon that prove what a fucking fraud he is. So Zelf is a figure of interest in Mormon studies. In May and June of 1834, Joseph Smith led an expedition known as Zion's Camp on a march from Kirtland to Jackson County, Missouri. On June 3rd, while passing through west central Illinois near Griggsville, some bones were unearthed from a mound. These bones were identified by Smith as belonging to a Lamanite chieftain warrior named Zelf. The mound in question, now known as Naples Russell's Mound 8. So basically, he was actually saying that these bones were, which the original story is that Lamanites are the ancient Native Americans. Now, they've tried to morph that story because DNA has proven that a load of horseshit.
Damn it.
We need these bones. We just need these bones. Also, 2,000-year-old bones in a mound that shallow in the ground, like, I really wish. And by the way, he was declared a white Lamanite because remember the racist history of Mormonism. Dark skin is a curse, and the Lamanites were one of the people who got this curse. And The Nephites, on the other hand, because they were righteous, were what was called white and delightsome. And if a Lamanite adequately repented, his skin or her skin or their skin, I mean, these are fictional people that I'm trying to
Who
make
buys
sure
this shit? Who buys into this shit?
17 million people at one point at least, because that's the number of people on their rosters.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I just wish we had the bones. About 1 foot deep, we discovered the skeleton of a man almost entire, and between two of his ribs, we found an Indian arrow, which had evidently caused the death. We took the leg and thigh bones and carried them along with us to Clay County. Like, it's impossible that this is somebody from the Lamanites would have gone extinct around 400 AD if they really existed. So 1 foot deep with an arrow between the ribs that they're claiming are 1,200 years old at the most.
Mm. Well, you have to remember, this is also the same group of people that claim that he found some golden tablets that only he could read,
right? And
met Jesus and the angel out. So I mean, like, it's not a far stretch to think that
my mistake
this
too.
Could be
1,400 years was the least amount. I said 1,200. I become obsessive when I do bad math. I have to correct it as soon as possible.
You know what though? But this reminds me of something, and I saw this morning, and it reminded me to ask you. Speaking of just ridiculous things, this is a really big aside, but this is something that I think would be really interesting to talk to you about. Did you see what Trump tweeted today?
No. Real quick before we do that, let me finish on the Mormons, and then let's go. Let's go to that.
Apology.
No. Sure. You're totally good. Shit. And where was the story I wanted to? Oh, you were talking about the gold plates that only he could read. Keep in mind, there are also several witnesses who signed an account that they had seen it. However, none of them, it comes out later that they had all been coerced, basically. The accounts had been written for them that they signed. And when asked for clarification, none of them actually saw it with their eyes, with the exception of one person who claims they saw it with their spiritual eye. That basically God showed it to them in their mind. So they didn't see it, but they did see it.
Okay. Again, I'm going to ask the question, how does anyone buy into this shit?
Right. Yeah. So it's been absolutely bananas. Anyway, I did a Q&A with Zelf on the Shelf. They came out to Pride. They also representing them pansexuals, and they're two of my favorite people in the absolute world, and I will marry them both one day.
This is a good plan.
Yeah,
I fully wish the three of you well and good fortune.
I mean, if there's three, there can be four, Kyle.
Don't tempt me. I might take you up on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know that the New York Times leaked a story about we sort of put some like an algorithm into the Russian power grid to monitor some things that were going on. The New York Times leaked this story, and they leaked that the government agencies involved did not brief Trump because of two reasons. One, they were afraid that Trump would stop the program, and two, they were afraid that Trump would tip off the Russian government. Like he would say, he would let them know that this was happening. So Trump tweeted this thing out today where he said, a poll should be done on which is the most dishonest and deceitful newspaper, the failing New York Times or Amazon Washington Post. They are both a disgrace to our country, the enemy of the people. And then he goes on to say this. This is what I wanted to get your thoughts on. The good news is that the end of 6 years after America has been great again, and I leave the beautiful White House, do you think the people would demand that I stay longer and keep America great again? Okay, so he's hinting about the possibility that the people might demand that he stay on for a third term. But the other interesting thing is, the good news is at the end of 6 years after America has been made great again, isn't 4 plus 4 8?
So I think he's saying that he has 2 years left now and another 4 years to come. Like we have up to 6 more years of Trump. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. This is kind of like...
Read it. I understand where you're coming. I see that, but let me read it to you how he put it one more time. The good news is that at the end of 6 years after America has been made great again, and I leave the beautiful White House. He's not saying after.
I think he is. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, and because I am a stickler on, he very easily could just be being the absolute dolt that he is right now. But I give him the benefit of the doubt anywhere I can, because he does so much that is so absurd. Let's just focus on there. I actually last week got really mad at a lot of people because they actually don't look very good when they attack Trump for something that he was technically right on, which he talked about. He was talking about a tweet, and we all know you have to keep your tweets compressed. And he talked about going to Mars, of which the moon is part.
Yes.
Everyone thought that was a joke.
I remember that.
Donald Trump is correct. He is the one in that scenario of everybody who is making the jokes. Donald Trump is technically correct. The moon is part of going to Mars. The whole thing about Mars is we are going to have to escape our world's atmosphere. Because that's the hardest part, and then refuel on the moon and head from there.
But it was funny that they capitalized on the ambiguity of But in 140 characters,
the word is funny.
Obviously, it was a sensational, story, but it was funny. I mean, it was a good way to troll.
This is the guy who days later said, "Look, if Russia came to me and they asked, not Russia, what did he use? Finland, I think it was. If Finland came to me and said, 'Hey, I have dirt on your opponent,' yeah, I probably would listen to it. I probably would take it. How do you know if it's bad unless you listen to it?" Literally saying, of course I would collude with a foreign government. I'm apparently unaware that that's actually illegal. Of course I would collude with them. He said that days later, and I think we undermine our point when we go after things like of which the moon is part. Because if you actually read that in full context, he was saying, let's not focus on getting to the moon. Let's focus on getting to Mars, because we have to get to the moon as part of that. We'll get to do that too.
Right. Yeah. But I understand the desire for these papers that came out with him saying that the moon is part of Mars.
The wording was silly.
The want to troll. That's an epic opportunity. I totally get what you're saying, and I agree to it.
Yeah,
I agree with it. But on the other hand, I completely see their side and being like, this is way too good to pass up an opportunity not to troll, the president. So
if Obama had said it, I would have said go after it as a joke. No, understanding the full context, but going like, here's the ambiguity of that. This is hilarious. The problem is that the framing of who Trump is, it's almost like you're saying, oh my goodness, look, here's another example of Donald Trump is so stupid. But does anyone really think Donald Trump thinks the moon is physically part of Mars?
I don't know. You're talking about a guy that stared directly into
that's fair.
Sun.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? That's a pretty good point. I think I take back all of my points now. That's a pretty good point.
But the main point of this tweet is the third term. Like, maybe people will be so happy with me that I need to stay on for longer.
Nixon did this. Nixon, I'm almost positive, in his second term, began wasn't it Nixon? Live chat, if you know. Didn't Nixon, in his second term, have a committee exploring the possibility of a third term and what would need to happen to make that go on?
Certainly sounds like something Nixon would do.
Yeah, I'm going to type in Nixon third term here. it's so funny that there's so many parallels.
They are. He actually mentioned today in an interview with I can never say the guy's last name, George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah. No, you got it.
From ABC. He was doing an interview where George was asking him about the collusion, like why didn't you answer any questions about collusion, or why didn't you fire Robert Mueller? And Trump said, I didn't fire him because I saw what happened to Nixon when he went around firing everyone, and it didn't turn out well for him.
I might have mixed it up with Reagan, but I'm almost positive. I think Reagan actually, I still think Nixon had committees to look into that, but it would take me more time to look up.
Reagan would have actually, of all the presidents, Reagan I think would be one of the ones that would actually probably secure that. He was such a popular president.
Yeah, okay. Reagan was definitely more popular as time went on, and this is what people talked about with George W. Bush. They thought that history would do to George W. Bush what happened to Reagan, and it just hasn't happened. We haven't gone that, holy shit. First of all, I don't feel this way about Reagan, but a lot of Republicans look back at Reaganism, the Reagan era, as like that's the ideal of Republicanism, minus the whole Iran-Contra debacle and the fact that was, what's that word? Treason. But, thank goodness for Ollie North and his paper shredders.
Oh, shit. All the Republicans are going to come after you now for calling Reagan in the T word.
Reagan
they're going to string you up.
Yeah, he was a treasonous douchebag. I mean, there's also a lot of whitewashing of the whole history there. And there was definitely at the time a lot more people who recognized him as a dick. But anyway, Nixon is worse than most people through history because of what he was caught for. But Donald Trump is like collectively worse than all of them put together. Any terrible presidents in the past.
That's the saving grace for George W. Bush, I think, too, is, compared to, when Trump came along, that's going to ease a lot of sort of anger at the, because he was the last Republican president to go out, and people throw around, a lot of really bad associative terms with Bush. But a lot of that, I think, too, what takes off and what's going to take off as history goes on from Bush is just how really awful Dick Cheney was, and sort of the strings that he was pulling behind the scenes. Because it seems like as the years go on and as these documentaries come out about the relationship between Donald Rumsfeld, George W. Bush and Cheney, it seemed to be that Rumsfeld and Cheney were the ones behind the scenes doing all of this shady shit in the shadows, and Bush taking, the fall for it and a lot. So
Bush's biggest nightmares was his social positions, because those were mostly uninfluenced by those kinds of things. Those, as far as his original thoughts were, those were his biggest nightmares. And then the things that were attributed to him was really the actual president, Dick Cheney. I mean, he's, and a lot of the reason why I think history is going to paint that too is when you see like everything's been over since then. George W. Bush has just become this like sweet old man who paints people. Right. I'm pretty sure he dropped his hatred of gay marriage. I think that happened. I could be wrong though. He did support Kavanaugh's nomination, so fuck that shit. But he's exchanging candies with Michelle Obama. And meanwhile, you have fucking Dick Cheney still out there defending the shit they did.
He shot somebody in the face and didn't apologize for it.
Yeah.
Dick Cheney shot his friend in the face and didn't apologize for it.
He did shoot somebody in the face. Yeah.
What is that?
Have you seen, did you see, what was the name of that show that was with the guy who played Borat?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
He made this undercover show. In one of the interviews he played this Israeli like war dude, that interviewed Dick Cheney as though they were allies and friends, and got Dick Cheney to just say the dumbest shit. He was talking about which his favorite war's war. He signed Sacha Baron Cohen's waterboarding kit. Signs it.
That is something that is so that is not surprising at all.
No.
Dick Cheney is pure evil. And
The bad
I
guy.
honestly think Dick Cheney died like 30 years ago, and he's this like cyborg, part human, like part emperor from Star Wars being. Because I mean, the guy's had how many heart attacks, and every time he's like, you would think that this would give somebody a new perspective on life. You know, when you're saved literally from death's door, you know, one time should be enough. But when you keep coming back and you keep doing more deplorable bullshit, you know, at what point is like, do we really have to recharge the batteries here?
But then, like, oddly, with all of that, supported gay marriage. I mean, and that's granted because his daughter was gay.
Right.
Like,
He's kind of forced in that. You know, I can only imagine what would happen if he didn't have a gay.
I mean, yeah, exactly. If he didn't, probably would have been just as bad as anybody else. I wouldn't call it forced. I do give people the benefit of the doubt that they actually come to that. You're right that forced by circumstance, but in the end, I think they come to that conclusion out of compassion. But you're not wrong.
With anyone else,
I don't know.
I would agree with you. With anyone else, I would agree with you. But I think that even Dick Cheney is the type that he's thinking about the optics of everything that he does. And even if he didn't support it, you know, wholeheartedly in the public eye because of the optics, he would if it would advance his narrative and career. I can give most everyone the benefit of the doubt. Dick Cheney is a little difficult to do, though, just because of the, you know, how evil that as a person he is.
Yeah, there's just not defending him.
So who do you think is going to be the shining victor in this upcoming election? Who should the people put their money on the Dem side?
It's 100% too early. However, if in 2 years or in a year, say, when we just have the final nominee, if in a year there was something we would look back at and say, of course that was going to make this person the nominee, I think we would look back at the way Elizabeth Warren decided to grow hers, knowing that it would keep her low at first, and then it would be basically viral social media marketing. But on top of that, literally having this strategy of, you got a problem, I got a plan. Problem, plan, problem, plan. I think that if it's obvious right now who the nominee is, but we won't know that until a year from now, I think that's Elizabeth Warren. And Elizabeth Warren is definitely actually my top pick. Or like who I want the most at present. Obviously, my mind is open to being changed. I would literally vote for any of them, like over Trump. Mm-hmm. Absolutely would, including Biden. I don't actually find it very useful. These people who, because Biden is the lead nominee, want to beat him by just attacking him, as opposed to building up their own candidate. They'd like to, I mean, to some degree, yes, ask questions, yeah, but then it's all the like, he answers this question, well, now we just don't believe the answer. So he's still a terrible human being. And then also not understanding the like that people do genuinely change. And this is something that Biden or anybody else, I always harp on this issue of holding people to their past of decades when you can see a demonstration of growth, especially, is such an unfair thing to do. And I assure everyone watching me who holds affection for me and my channel, you would hate me from 10 years ago. If I brought on me from 10 years ago, the hate watches would be incredible, as in like we debated. You would not like that person. I mean, sure, that's fair enough. But 10 years ago, even though I still pretty much didn't believe, I was still professing a belief in Mormonism, but was still a misogynistic, racist, homophobic asshole, and just a toxic human being. And so, but anyway, what
about Bernie?
I think Bernie should drop, and then Warren would take an easy lead, which would actually help her for a lot. I think Bernie should go. I would pick Warren over Bernie at this point. I liked Bernie, and I primaried for Bernie, or rather caucused for him last time around. This time based on today, I would do it for Warren. And I think if we need the numbers to change swiftly now, the most noble thing Bernie could do is drop it. Is drop.
Now, why is that? Why would you want Bernie to drop compared to?
Because she would get the numbers.
So you like her plans and positions more so than Bernie's?
And her presentation and her being in that spot, yes. Also, I love Bernie Sanders. Not a big fan of a significant portion of his base. Also, one thing you have to consider, I 100% know the economy is not as good as it looks. I understand that unemployment is low because people are working 2 to 4 jobs, not because people are gainfully employed or whatever the correct term is. But you still have his side and the people who think he might be exciting, he being Trump, who don't necessarily understand that he isn't a huge success. To try and sell the word socialism against what they think is doing very well, they're wrong, but they think that's the public perception, is going to be a hard sell. And I think that you get your democratic socialism, which I'm a fan of, by going Warren. I think if we put Bernie at this point, Bernie against Trump last election, he could have won because you had 2 people who were radically different from the status quo, and you would be having 2 people picking between which direction do we want to take this. Now, again, you're trying to sell a word that flags as so scary to not just Republicans, not just conservatives, but a number of independents and even a number of Democrats. Our governor, Hickenlooper, who's running for president here in Colorado, we are super liberal, and he's saying let's not go socialism. It's too hard of a sell against a mistake, a mistaken perception of what the current status quo is. So that's why I like Warren.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Very good analysis.
Thanks. I think I put it on Twitter. Warren Buttigieg, I think, is my ideal ticket based on today's numbers.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
and I like. I want to make this clear too. Like, I like Pete, and not because he's gay. Like, I refuse to vote for somebody on just because they're gay. I genuinely like him as a candidate. I think he's a good candidate. And
right. It does not affect his qualification for president, but I actually want to push back a little bit on this idea that we can't be excited about it. You definitely can be excited about that our country is now in a place. This is the first election Mayor Pete could run, I think. Absolutely.
And let me clarify. I'm saying that I don't want there to be, like, when I say, if I got to the point where I was like, this is my guy, that it's just because of that reason, me being gay and he's gay. I think that the candidate's qualifications should be first and foremost. You know what I mean? But excited about it, yes. Ecstatic at the possibility that could even happen now. Absolutely. But I want to put it out there that it's not just that singular issue that he's gay, and it's like, no matter what he says or does, that's going to be the person that I vote for that single fact.
For me, if the Democrats can pull off a victory, which I think they can, but obviously I don't underestimate Trump's ability to win, a Warren Buttigieg ticket isn't a ticket of the next 8 years, it's of the next 16. Because Buttigieg is coming in with a lot of experience, but still young. A lot of people like him and would be excited to see him as a president, but I don't think you're going to be able to sell him mostly because of his age. So if you had a young but extremely experienced vice president, then you have the addition of time to that. I think if Warren and Buttigieg could win, that's our next 16 years you're picking, not just the next 8.
Why do we count out someone because of their age? Because look at Kennedy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he would have been able to, fulfill his term on before he was unnecessarily assassinated, he could have been a game changer, like huge. Like, he did a lot of things even when he was in office that were just great for the country. So it is sad in some instances that we do sort of put a damper on people because of their age.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody young is what we need. We've had all of these old.
Right. All right. But then let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Universally for all Americans, what percentage of people do you trust to vote wisely?
2.
Yeah, I'm in the single digits, maybe more than 2 also. So when you say it might be what we need, even if you succeed at that case, it's almost like if you successfully made that case, my cynicism, which is much higher in politics than even in religion, my cynicism would insist that if you successfully make the case that that's what we need, it's exactly what we won't get.
Oh, I
kind of like the case I just made. Yeah, that's the exact same case I just made for democratic socialism. I think it probably is what we need. I don't see anything that has even the potential to address automation, which is coming for literally all of our jobs in the next couple of few decades.
So why not Yang then? What do you think about Yang?
What I've listened to, I've liked. 100% skepticism because of the number. He doesn't have. It's kind of like some of the stuff that bothered me about Bernie in the past. When people would ask, "How are you going to pay for it, Bernie?" he would give an answer that, if you actually go look into the numbers, didn't adequately cover it. And so there's some of that with Yang too. You have to have a plan for it. We're approaching a state where economies won't matter anymore. Like that's going to happen in the coming decades.
I know how to pay for everything that we want in this country. And it's very simple.
Yeah.
2 things. Legalize marijuana everywhere.
Yeah.
Number 2, tax the church.
Yeah.
If you tax the church, it would pay for anything that this country wanted to do in a nutshell. I mean, just everything that you like. If you wanted streets lined with gold, tax the fucking church, and you will get those streets of gold.
There's lots of things, but the fact of the matter is in a few decades, so many people will be out of work that we're going to have to switch to something besides. Capitalism can't work forever. At a certain point, automation and technology gets so good that there's going to eventually be the day that it's basically WALL-E. If you want something, you just get it. Like there won't be an incentive for those kinds of things.
So you're for universal basic income?
It's the only thing I think. First of all, I think it might be the case that we already passed how much automation is going to ruin our economy, and that even if we installed UBI now, we would be years too late. But I don't have a better idea than UBI. So yes, I support it because I can't think of something better. I would, if something better. To me, I think something better is going to come, and someone's going to realize, like, oh my God, sex robots or something along that line, and everything will somehow be fixed. But I just don't know.
So we need sex robots. That is the answer.
I think I might have just come up with the answer.
I think you may have.
Should I be president?
Hey, in Canada, that's big. They're having brothels. They're coming out with brothels with sex robots.
I have zero opposition to the concept of sex robots. It will reduce the amount of the population growth has to slow down. It already has a little, and it's nothing compared to what we need. I am totally pro sex robots.
Jimmy for president.
Yep. Can't run for.
That's a hell of a
6
platform.
More years.
Free money and sex robots.
I can run in 6 more years. If the NIFB haven't murdered me by then.
God, I'm old. I wish you hadn't said that.
I think we should switch to super chats.
Okay.
Basically, we end each show by reading through the super chats. I recommend people stay. A lot of people leave at this point. I would say don't, because a lot of times the conversations from these, obviously there's going to be lots of super chats that are just like, hey guys, we love you, things of that nature. But a lot of times just the questions and things that are asked in there launches off some conversations. And at times the best conversations we've had on our show have been literally the super chat ones. Do you want to go first? Should we alternate? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can go. Screw the entire NIFB from I'm Sorry Wilson.
Yes, indeed, screw them. Also, it's probably going to be tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. But tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a video on another member of the NIFB that I think everybody needs to be aware of, and somebody who's actually scarier to me than Steven Anderson, despite the fact that Steven Anderson is the head of that. So that'll either be tomorrow or Tuesday.
Okay, your go.
All right, Vandy, slow mode hurts me. # where's my wrench? And we responded to that by giving Vandy a wrench. Vandy's been here forever, so it's going to happen. Antithesis Studio. Oh, that was the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, closer to the original. Thank you, Sebastian Karchevsky. Ericamian says, ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you only had the one. Yeah, no,
you're good. Did you finish that one? Your last one?
Yeah, I'll redo it with, let me try and see if I can get Mark Hamill's joke. Let me see if it puts a smile on my face. Ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? That was very good. That was more Stewie than, and actually.
It's not bad, though.
Heath Ledger's.
That wasn't bad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always say that it puts a smile. Harley Quinzel. It puts a smile on my face. Ooh. Anyway.
Can you do Heath?
No, can anyone? Let's see. I'm gonna do a magic trick with this pencil. Ooh, it disappeared. No, not very good.
Yeah. Mark Hamill. Stick with Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I actually don't think I can. I don't even think I'm remembering what Heath sounded like correctly.
Godless Engineer, NIFB is a cult, no doubt about it. Completely agree.
Alyssa P, I can't listen right now, but will later. Just wanted to wish you happy Pride. I like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka too. Yeah, I really did.
I think I'm in the minority on this issue.
Good.
But
that's okay.
TGI Loken 16, 6 pumpkin emojis.
Pumpkin posse. By the way, also in that merch store that I put in the live chat, let me see if it's still copied and pasted. Is our pumpkin posse merch as well. Let's see. Sadie79, check out Midnighter and Apollo. All right. Will do.
Awesome. Chris P, parade is on Sunday. That is more family day.
Jack L. Frost says, take some Russian funding, you magnificent fruit. Now I have more in common with the president.
I knew that was coming. I could feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johan Roderick says, Super Chat added more episodes to the RN Raw Archives podcast. Very good podcast.com/RN Raw pod. Also, Jared Leto equals the worst Joker ever. Just saying, I agree with all of that. 100%.
Okay, I might agree that he is the worst. I'm not going to concede that he was a bad one, is where I might concede he's the worst of the group. But first of all, I know that after Suicide Squad came out, he didn't even like the way he was presented. And he says that he felt he filmed a different movie. They cut out a huge amount and basically rewrote his character, but had enough content to do that. Oh, that's funny. You did not put that in the right spot. Not even close. You need to actually put it like in this part of your hand.
I need to angle it more, don't I?
It needs to be right here.
Crooked smile.
That's like coming off of your chin there.
Yeah, it was just on the cuff, man. It was a quick impulse thing. It didn't work. That's okay.
Walt 707 said claimed an ex-trans person had wanted to give AIDS. I believe that was when we were talking about Steven Anderson, and Steven Anderson has claimed a whole ton of ridiculous shit.
Yeah, RJ, heart emojis, and it looks like 2 people emojis. RJ, I can't really make out what that is, but thank you. Nonetheless, and hello to you.
Sex Abacus says there is a parade here in Denver. It was this morning. You know what? I actually did know that. Now that you say it, I think it was closer to the. Am I wrong? Was it closer to the stadium than it was to the Civic Center? I'm not sure, but I think I did know that. And then thank you to whoever's message we had to delete, but you still sent money.
Chris P. Kyle should move to Denver. you never know what the future holds. That would be a hell of a time with Jimmy and I in the same city. That's for sure.
Denver is, except for that I literally don't want this, everyone should move to Denver. It is the greatest city in the world. And you know, part of me wants to like try and crowdfund moving Tanner and Sam out here, but I don't think they would necessarily do it. But I would love that.
You're becoming this is getting in high gear.
We didn't have enough time to film any like proper collab videos, so I do want to try and have them out again soon. But seriously, I love being around them. I love the people they are. They're just wonderful people, and I'm going to marry both of them. Vincent Doan, thank you, and says Pride Parade was today. Also, Gwendolyn says hi. Yeah, you're right. You right. Hi, Gwendolyn. Hello.
And then a few random things says cannibalism would fix overpopulation and world hunger. While technically you are right, that's probably not the best solution. But
also consider how long
you're not wrong.
For a sufficient level of meat, consider how long you would have to raise these individuals and the incredible, like, does any animal have a carbon footprint as big as a human? Like, it would actually, it would fix overpopulation
cows.
Because we'd go extinct. No, we consume the cows, so their farts are our carbon footprint. It's actually not farts either, it's belches. I don't even think cows fart at all.
Oh, they have to.
They belch. All that the carbon dioxide that's contributing to global warming is coming out of their mouths.
Do you remember Heifer off of Rocko's Modern Life? He farted a lot in that show.
Yes, but did you know that was a cartoon?
I did not.
And not a documentary.
This is why I do this show. This is why I do this show.
You learn something every time.
Okay, makes sense.
Makes sense. Sugar Cube says, love ya. Sugar Cubes, I love you. Also, thank you, Darth Who, with no message.
Nate M, props to the mods. Yes, props to the mods in the chat.
On both channels. Holy shit. Yeah, we get it. Y'all want a drama show. You're not going to get it.
Right.
Sebastian Charchevsky, can you talk about the Satanic Temple? Please, I need to learn more. So most of the things that I've been exposed to regarding Satanism is I've met many Satanists that are essentially secular humanists as well. They're mostly atheistic. I've also heard things about certain factions of Satanism that are extremely concerning to me, and I haven't followed up enough to find out. But can
I say, I've had Lucian on the show. It was actually about a month ago, and he is he started the Satanic Temple. And if you really want an interesting story and find out what they do, you can go and watch that. But they do a lot of moving against the legal aspects of, you know, where there may be a instance of religion sort of coming in, and they're really crucial. Well, and two, like, they were really crucial. I believe it was in Alabama, but there was a courthouse that was putting up the Ten Commandments on the lawn, and they put up that statue of Baphomet with the kids that was like really whatever, and it made them back off on fighting against putting the Ten Commandments out there, because if you can put the Ten Commandments out there, you can also put the, you know, this demon statue with his arms around little kids, and so they backed off of that very quickly. So they do that sort of thing as well,
and that kind of stuff I love. I am aware that, and they're probably a different faction of Satanism. I'm also aware of groups of them that are basically just a bunch of edgelords, and could very well be. Is there? How many atheists aren't tired of edgelords by now? Like, we get it. It unfortunately represented us for like a good decade on YouTube. Maybe not a decade, but too long. It was the only thing you could find besides maybe the Atheist Experience. But anyway, otherwise, I love all that stuff, the political counters and things of that nature.
Yeah, they do important work.
Lucy asked about the calendar. We already covered that one. Min SD, lighthearted question for Jimmy. I love the idea of a bidet attachment, but isn't the water cold? Please tell me it's not too bad. So The kind I have actually replaces your entire seat, and it is electronic. You actually plug it in to electricity, and then you have the water. It heats the water as well. I will tell you, however, that there are times, specifically after I eat Chipotle, that you don't want it heated, and it is magnificent. If you have ever had, I like Chipotle's spiciest salsa coming in, but not as much going out. And I now time my Chipotle input with knowing I will be around my bidet at home.
I feel like this is a side,
This is why people love this show. I am so open about everything except like some
you
mental
certainly
insecurities. Yeah,
you certainly are.
Yeah.
Graham Price, I'm really glad to see you're still here, Kyle. Yes, I'm glad to see that you're still here as well, Graham. Thank you for that.
Genetically Jen says, please buy a cape when you scoot. The address is there. Send me capes. I'll scoot in them.
Julie Ian, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you, Kyle. You will always be my Princess Pumpkin. No much love. Oh, thank you. Much love to you as well. Thank you for that. That's very sweet.
Thank you, The Mountain Engine. Emily Corbett says, I found out about Soul Pride late 2 years in a row. One day I'll actually go to be proudly pan and fluid in public. Also from North Carolina, hearing Kyle talks gives me flashbacks. Lol.
I'm sorry. Let me apologize. I can try to fake a British accent, although I'm not very good at it. Good at it.
This is like the only appealing thing about me is my accent, or my voice rather, is my accent is entirely neutral. And I have a British mother and a New Yorker father, and that just cancels each other out.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good to go, Jimmy.
Sebastian Karchevsky, could you possibly talk about the Satanic Temple? Also, any TST members here? So we kind of covered that earlier. But as far as I know, for the record, I don't think Satanism means those things that I was saying earlier that can be bad. It was brought to my attention recently that there were issues happening with what I think was a popular form of Levian Satanism, I think might have been the kind. And so I'm just trying to look into it. And I'm also not saying that means Levian Satanism is that way, but it's things I need to look into before I talk
That's
too
the
much
Church of
about
Satan.
it.
That's the Church of Satan.
Yeah, I don't know. But, Lord Jen, $2 for Jimmy Scoop Fun. Love your gorgeous face. Thank you so much. It's like, this is such a first world problem, but I wasted a lot of money on scooting this week. You know what? It didn't feel like a waste though. Here's another thing about scooting that I love. And this is why I got the scooter. This is real. I have so much anxiety about being away because I have chronic illness. The way that manifests the worst with my anxiety is when I feel like my escape is too inaccessible. So even from my hotel, as I would walk down to 16th Street Mall, as soon as you start to get 3, 4, 5 blocks away, and you consider how long it would be to go back if I'm sick, that triggers anxiety for me. But not just the fact that you can get back faster from scooting, but the actual action of scooting distracts your mind in a way that is like so amazing. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, the reason why I purchased it is almost a medical need. Like, the reason why I decided I needed one myself.
See if your insurance will cover it.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. Then I'd get a really fancy one.
Yeah, with like, what would a fancy scooter look like? I guess a side piece to put someone in that you could just ride around with. You
just went all the way to Vespa, basically.
Yeah.
Listen, I draw the line at hoverboard. You will never see me on one of those. Period. Now, a literal hoverboard, a real hoverboard, I would do, but the ones with the wheels on the side that you balance thing, no, you'll never see me on one of those. Because I couldn't even if I wanted to. That's half of what I'm covering up here.
What do they call those?
Hoverboards.
The ones. No, what's the one where like the cops use where it's 2 wheels and you sort of like
Segway.
lean forward? Segway, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Yeah, those are pretty cool, actually. I think those are neat. What dimensions would you like for that cape? I don't know. I'm 6'2", so whatever you think would be the right amount of dimensions.
5'3", 3 feet by 5 feet.
All right. He knows. I don't know.
Don't ask me how I know.
Tastic Fan says 13.3 minutes of scoot for you, sir. So I will tell you, the other thing is every time you start a new scoot is $1, and then it's 15 cents after the initial starting of the scoot. Vincent,
did we just create a new word or like a verb with scooting? Like,
oh no, South Park already did it.
Oh,
Mr.
they did.
Mackey,
Okay. Of course,
I just don't think everyone should be scooting everywhere. I don't want a future where we're all scooting.
Of course, they did.
I don't want to scoot.
Damn you, Mark and Trey.
It's actually a really funny episode too. Vincent Doan, is it stealing if it's a point you agree with? And how are the cults and religious people in Wyoming? People are not just privately, but people are pretty religious there. But in a lot of it, they'll leave you the fuck alone about your religion. That said, bigotry is still wild, and I was still called for my effeminacy. I was called queer, faggot, and things of that nature plenty. Oddly enough, in the grocery store in Laramie, I would run into the kids that went to this school there that you basically learn how to work on like trucks and diesel engines and things of that nature. And they would just see you and be like, oh, "What's up, faggot?" I was like, "Cool, well done."
I'm sure they turned out to be fantastic members of society.
Regarding is it stealing if it's a point you agree with? I know what you're talking about now. No, but if it's a point that you're taking somebody else's phrasing, you need to do your best to credit the person. Don't adopt it as your original, and don't line by line, word for word, publish it as your own YouTube video. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You know what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, what's this? Some shade.
Huh. Let me just grab this tea right here.
Viviana B., what are your thoughts of my Mormon parents and quite a few Mormon members I used to know saying things along the lines of climate change is a sign of Jesus coming back, so we should not stop it?
No.
Mormons think everything is a sign of Jesus coming back. They literally think the stop signs and signs that say dip in the road are signs of Jesus Christ. When everything proves your point, nothing does.
Can I say something too? There's and I actually like this person as a person. He actually doesn't live very far from me, but there's someone on Twitter, and his Twitter handle is called Maddie's Paradigm, and Maddie believes that, and Maddie has like 70,000 people that follow him, and I don't know how many of those buy into what his hypothesis is, but he believes that the hell is in the center of the earth, and that,
I've heard of this.
I've told you about this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he believes that hell is in the center of the earth, and that there are so many people down there that it has caused hell to expand and crack around the outside of the planet, which is releasing the heat into the atmosphere. So the reason that the planet is warming is because hell is overbooked, and it's causing the planet to warm up, and that's what global warming is from.
Do you know what, Kyle? I can't poke any holes in that. I think I'm on board.
I mean, it's not falsifiable.
What could I do? What could I do with that? Thank you to a Russian fan who knows there's no way I could say that name because I don't even know what some of these letters are. Hi from Russia. You make Pride easier for me. Thank you so much. Nikki J says, just wanted to say happy Pride Month, Jimmy. Hope you had fun celebrating. Seriously, it's the most social I've been all year, and it makes me wish that I wasn't a mess of a person and that I could be social more often. Stephen Mims, I feel like so many people just said the word mood in response to what I just said. I know my audience pretty well. Stephen Mims, hey, Mr. Atheist, conservative atheist here. Obviously, we disagree on some things, but love you and Cirrus. Don't be afraid of listening to differing opinions is the way to go. Good tidings, guys. I actually used to be very conservative and quite libertarian as an atheist. There are people who I very honestly come by that position and I respect it. But as you said, we disagree. It doesn't mean I have to hate the person. I am capable of being friends with people who, or at least friendly with people with whom that I have a tremendous amount of disagreement, and both friends
like
and
me.
friendly. Yeah, I mean the difference in our politics though is nothing compared to like
That's true.
even the difference between other people in the atheist YouTube world. I don't want to call out any specific people. TJ,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Uh-oh.
More shade. Vault Boy 21 says, "Happy Pride, y'all. Any word on more non-sec content?" Non-sec, I'm sure, is going to have lots more content.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll be back tomorrow. 9 o'clock.
We're streaming over there right now. You're back right now. Catherine Knight Diaz, so excited that this is the first election I can vote in. Seems like it will be very influential in our country / world's future. I'd say this is the most consequential election ever of all time. Not just
Really?
Not just live. Yeah, I think that this is literally the most important election ever.
Well, that's a bold statement. That's a
Climate-
bold statement.
We just got the report that we have 12 years to not die.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's a bold statement when you think about throughout the years, the different things that have gone on, like with wars, especially like the one with FDR, I think was another pinnacle election.
I think this is a fight for not just the soul, if it were as it were, of America, not a literal one. I think people know what I mean when I say that, but also the actual and literal life of it. Catherine Knight also says, but gonna wait until I turn 18 in August to investigate candidates so the roster is more solid. Another idea, legalize prostitution and legal brothels. Theoretically, we'll only lose candidates between here and then, and Warren, I think, will still be around in August. And my guess is in August, I'm still going to feel pretty Warren, but I've liked Warren for a long time. Basically, the thing that I had to fight was Biden, honestly, to me, and I know a million people on Twitter, because that's where the loudest voices are, just not most of them. I think Biden is actually the easiest way to beat Trump. However,
Yes.
I think Warren could beat Trump also.
Pocahontas.
Fuck Trump. Catherine Knight Diaz, help bring government money and keep workers safe and healthy. Adrian, excited to vote for the first time this election. I'm excited for you to vote too. Vote for me. No, actually vote for somebody who's actually running. Please don't vote for me. Magic Milk God, thank you. Sarah Overbay, what do you think of Taylor Swift putting GLAAD in her new video, and what do you think of her as an ally? I have no idea what her allyship is. I honestly have never evaluated her allyship. I guess I just assume she is. I have no idea who GLAAD actually is, or if maybe GLAAD
is an organization. It's a very pro-gay organization that they deal with.
I think I have heard of GLAAD then. I thought you were talking about. Yeah, I think I was thinking GLAAD was a rapper. Yeah,
it probably is. That's so funny.
I have seen GLAAD before. People who have watched this before have seen me forget names of people that like. I forget my own parents' names. So, but for some reason, specifically like names of organizations and stuff, I have the hardest time recalling when I need to recall them.
Happy Father's Day out there to all the fathers that are watching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Big Happy Daddy's Day. I mentioned how Pride Festival, they were like, oh, right. Somebody said to me the other day, they were like, oh, right. Pride is this weekend because it's always on Father's Day. I was like, actually, if you're paying attention, it's more like it's on Daddy's Day. But anyway.
Well played, sir. Well played.
I've always liked Taylor Swift's music, and I know that's not going to go over very well either with the chat, but I hope she's a good ally, and I hope that it's not just representative of, it's not just tokenship or proving virtue signaling, that kind of thing.
You know she's got to be, though, like with just her personality and things, you know she's got she's got to be.
She seems very progressive to me. Yeah.
I hope so.
Hi, Jimmy. I have art for you on Twitter. Pastel Goji is the handle. Also, you're awesome. I will look out for that. David Meyer, the best way to reduce population growth is to make sure women have both equal rights and their reproductive rights intact. Yes, yep. I agree that is the second best way. But first of all, it's the most important way. Absolutely. One at the top by a mile, but it is second to sex robots as far as most effective way to reduce population growth. And I think I would actually stand by that argument.
Do you really? That's interesting.
So already there's millennials are opting for video games and masturbating over companionship and sex. And now if you fill in for those people who just that can't be enough for them,
Here's my thing though. Okay, if I don't think that there would be a substitution for the real thing, number one, and I think that probably the majority of people that will be engaging in sex robots will be people that aren't, for the most part, having sex on the with someone, an actual human.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be contributing to the increase in kids anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
It wouldn't put a dent in, I don't think, that much.
So the thing that the reason why I disagree with you is part of the decrease in people having actual sex and opting for masturbating over it is that there's already some level of intimacy simulation in different versions of porn and video games. And so you just have to get good intimacy simulations. If you're talking about a robot being better than humans as far as sex goes, or as good as, they're going to be much better. And there are a huge number of clitoris-possessing human beings on the planet that will tell you robots are already better, but it doesn't substitute for things like the intimacy and the flirting and all the things that lead up to it. And so I'd say between AI and the direction we're going, first of all, like, not only do I think robots will be better, you'll be able to get those full intimacy things out of it. I'm not saying everyone's going to stop, but the future is.
How do we feel about that?
Sex robots is going to be a big part of it. How do we feel about? I don't care.
Pulling out the intimacy part and putting it into something that's not human, and there being like an established connection between, you know what I mean? Like, what's the ramifications of that, you think?
If the robot brain is as complex as a human brain, frankly, I don't see any. There's not a ton of difference. This is something we'd have to have a much longer.
Yeah.
Longer
maybe
thing
next week
on
we can
as far as approaching a singularity and things of that nature. Yeah.
Sure.
We'll do a whole episode one day about it. The best way to reduce population growth. But by the way, again, that is definitely the most important way. Is to everyone just needs equal rights and control over their body. Period. Lucifer, and obviously a huge number of people already have that, and a huge number of people don't. Lucifer, if you run, I want to be your VP in the runnings. I am sorry, Lucy, you don't know about this individual because they haven't been around in a while. I hope they are back someday soon, but that spot is already filled by an individual named Jammy, and it will be the Jimmy Jammy ticket. Jim Jammy.
I remember that.
Yep.
I have one for you, Jimmy. It says, this is from My Unfinished Journey. He says, Jimmy, I forget names too. There's this one lady I've known all my life, but her name, Mom. Tongue out emoji.
Yeah. I forget my youngest sister's name all the time, but that's probably because I haven't spent that much time with her. She's like 3 or 4. I moved out of my parents' house. What's it, like 11 years ago now?
Mm-hmm.
Sadie79, great show. Thank you so much. I think so too. I had a lot of fun. Brack's mom, free mom hugs for everyone. I wonder if you were the person at Pride I saw with an apron that said that very thing. Dylan Fuller, what would you say for someone like me with suicidal thoughts because of the thought of a failing future? I really don't see this country getting better. Therapy and wait. Listen, if it's not going to get better and everything's going to be terrible, wait to kill yourself until then. Literally just always find a reason to wait to kill yourself. And that's literally is what has gotten me through life. Because there have been several times I've either been suicidal or just always entertaining the thoughts that I'd rather be dead. And literally it's always just figuring out something in the future that I want to live to see or live to do. That's been big for my own therapy.
But I think it will get better.
I do too.
I think if you look across history, it is getting better as a whole. There are times and instances where it seems like there's a lot of turmoil going on, but in the overall picture, it's getting better, and it will continue to get better. And people are, the generations that believed in, the segregation and discrimination, that sort of thing, they're dying off, and the generations that are up and coming are a lot more accepting and embracing people who are different. So, like Jimmy said, make sure that you get therapy, because that helps wonders, and there's no stigma attached to that. I've done it many times, and hang in there, and you will see that it's life's beautiful, and just sort of close out the ugly parts, and it's a beautiful thing. Definitely don't want to cut it short.
Speaking though of all this, have you seen Westworld?
I've seen the first season. I haven't seen the second.
Yeah.
I've been busy with The Handmaid's Tale.
For anybody for the day that comes when we discuss the concept of sex robots and whether or not you can really replace that and stuff, obviously it's fiction, but go watch the first season of it and see the things I'm talking about, where they give you realistic levels of interaction and emulating intimacy and things of that nature, to the point where people are literally falling in love with these things that are robots, and just let that inform your decision on not necessarily. We can talk about the ethics of it, which I'm still figuring my thing out, but whether or not robots could replace and be better than the real thing. I submit that
this is such a good topic. This is such a good topic.
Yeah. It's all.
I have so many things to say about this.
I think we should do a whole panel on non sequitur, personally.
Let's do it.
I think that'd be a great night. Yeah, that'd be a good show.
Paul would actually wants to talk about this, because he was telling me about the sex brothel up in Canada. So that'd be really good to bring Paul on and do that. Let's do that.
Cool. Genetically by the way, not that Paul was a consumer of that brothel, just for the record.
No. We were having sort of the same discussion about what are the implications and that sort of thing.
And by the way, I wouldn't be upset if he was, except for that he is dating somebody whom I love very much, and
that is not the case. Let me dispel that rumor.
Yeah, he is not. He is not cheating on Shannon with a brothel. Genetically, Cheney hasn't been human in over 6,000 years. Yeah,
agreed.
I agree.
Hey, there's your sex robot, Jimmy.
Nikki J, as a bisexual woman dating a man, I don't feel queer enough sometimes. Do you ever feel like that being pansexual? I'm more into women, but I love him. Unfortunately, that's a societal erasure that we've been fighting for forever. It's better than it's ever been, and it'll keep getting better. But
even I. Sorry.
What's that? No,
I was gonna say, even I feel that way sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm not gay, and just because like you tell people sometimes, like in passing, or when you're meeting new people or whatever, and they find out you're gay, and what I get a lot is, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Or no way, I would have never. You know what I mean? So I think we all feel that way at some point. It's normal.
With her, there are people who say it's basically like you're bisexual, but then you enter into a relationship that appears heteronormative, and then people basically all go, oh, see, it was just a phase, or oh, so you're not actually, or right now you're straight, or whatever else, totally erasing that no one's sexuality is contained to only their sexual attraction to their individual partner. I shouldn't say nobody. Certainly that's like probably on the like extreme end of the demisexual spectrum, because I don't know, maybe not, but it's everybody closes their eyes. I'm saying everybody colloquially, obviously there's some nuance to it, but everybody at some point while they're having sex with somebody closes their eyes and thinks about somebody else. And so,
how dare you? That never happens.
Saying your sexuality saying your sexuality is only represented by who you are actively dating at that moment is ridiculous.
You are a retrobate.
That's
How
true.
dare you, sir?
Did you wait? Say that word again.
Retrobate.
You say it the same way I do. I also mispronounce it. It's a reprobate. R-E-P. I say retrobate.
Wait, I said retrobate. That's like a what is that? That's like a throwback. Reprobate.
Yeah.
From back in the day, retrobate. Okay, I see that now. That makes sense. Yeah, it is reprobate. Okay.
Retrobate is when you masturbate totally unshaven down there.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Full bush.
That's great. In that case, I am a full retrobater. Reprobate. Okay, that makes sense now.
I was a retrobate until preparing for Pride, and it turned out to be pointless. Let's see.
Don't read into that too much.
Min SD, it took 6 years to convince my doctor I don't want children. I was sterilized at 29. What are your thoughts on being child-free and the difference men and women face when making this decision? I mean, it's obviously I can go in and get, and I'm going to, I just keep putting it off for some reason. I'm not scared of doing it, but I can go and get a vasectomy much easier than an individual with a uterus can be sterilized. It is a dumb double standard. The thing is, like, they feel right because sometimes people do change their mind. So clearly what needs to happen is an improvement in the education, I think. I have an individual for whom I hold a tremendous amount of affection, who right now is pretty much being fucked over by that because they have really terrible endometriosis and go through fainting spells and things because of bleeding that results in. Can't work at times, but they can't get the NHS in England to approve it because they are too young. And so it's really fucking frustrating. Mm-hmm. Magic Milk God, thank you. Obscure Reality. As someone from Wyoming, I can confirm that Dick Cheney has been around since at least the Oregon Trail when they abandoned him at Independent Rock.
God, that's the greatest game ever, too. What a good reference.
That was good. I very much appreciated that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
I have died of dysentery so many times.
Yes. And just the shit that we used to like play, like just thinking back, kids have all of these, like, I remember when Game Boy came out, right? And you had you had to play it like where you had a light, or if it was it had two colors in the thing, light, dark, and dark. And now kids these days have, 4 billion colors, and it's just crazy how things have evolved.
I played it on original floppy disk, and some of you think you know what I'm talking about when you're actually thinking about a 3.5 disc. And it had that little metal thing. Those aren't floppy disks. The original floppy bit disk was like yay big, and that fucker was floppy. That's
you
what
had to stick it in and crank the little thing down to keep it in.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. These, and you know what? Life was worse. Things are way better now. I don't look back and wish for that day. This is the best time. It gets better. So much better. Yeah. Laura Doan, stop global warming. Do your religion, kids. I don't know what that means. Lucy Fur, fine. Can I just be your assistant? LOL. I will offer you chief of staff if that would do it for you. Or Secretary of State. I'd actually love to see Lucy negotiating with like the Russians.
You're hired.
Or Kim Jong would be funny too. Catherine Knight Diaz, since y'all mentioning sex robots, robot sex brothels and automation, you guys familiar with Detroit Become Human, near future the games world? No, I'm familiar that it exists, but I know nothing about it. But I'm always looking for games to play when I eventually have time. I feel like I'm saving up all of my time, even though that's not a real concept, for Elder Scrolls 6, where the only chance you will all see me for like a month is if I recorded videos for you a month in advance, and maybe if I live stream when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, but that's probably not for at least another year. Chapstick Giacenti, The Backyardigans is a great show. Pablo is cool. Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard of it either. All right. Any more on your side?
No, I just checked.
Awesome. Well, that is it for us tonight. Remember that you can, if you missed some of this and you'd rather just listen to it later, this will be up Monday-ish, probably, maybe Tuesday. Yeah, probably like Monday afternoon on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play. The podcast is called Modern Day Atheism. We will be back next Saturday with a live show. We will have our normal episodes in the coming days. Nonsec, what do you got going on?
We'll be back tomorrow at 9. And the same time throughout the week.
Hell
Schedule will be
yeah.
posted on Twitter tomorrow.
Well, awesome. You all know the cool places to be. Well, I don't know. I was trying to think of some clever sign off.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's just do
just keep scooting.
Let's do like 90s news programs. Just like have a good evening, America.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Oh yeah. That was a good show. Who put that in the